I'm not one to write online. But if I don't leave some kind of record, someone else might book that room. And I can't let that happen. It started with a road trip. My girlfriend Jess and I were driving cross-country from New York to California, just taking a break from life. We'd hit the halfway point in Nebraska when we got caught in a massive thunderstorm, wind tearing tree branches down, visibility near zero. We pulled off the highway, looking for shelter, and stumbled across a rundown, flickering sign. Sundown Motel, vacancy. The place looked like it hadn't had a guest since the 80s. Peeling paint, one dim overhead bulb lighting the front office, and that weird mildew and cigarette smell you only get in sketchy motels. The guy at the desk was ancient. White beard, sagging skin, and eyes that were too alert for someone his age. He barely looked up. You want a room? Only one open is 313. Top floor, end of the hall. Jess and I exchanged a glance. That's fine, I said. He slid the key across the desk, never touching my hand. No refunds. No switching rooms. Check out his sunrise. Weird. But whatever. The elevator didn't work, so we climbed 3 flights of creaky stairs with our duffel bags. The hallway was dimly lit, lined with numbered doors that seemed off, like they were too tall, or crooked. Room 313 was at the very end. Jess hesitated before unlocking it. You hear that? She asked. I paused. A low hum. Almost mechanical, but too irregular to be a machine. Probably pipes, I told her. Inside, the room was cleaner than expected. But cold. Freezing cold. The thermostat was cranked all the way up, but it felt like we were in a meat locker. We unpacked, watched some static-filled TV, and tried to sleep. That's when the knocking started. It came from inside the closet. 3 slow knocks. Then silence. I got up, opened the door, nothing. But later it came again. This time from the bathroom. Then the ceiling. Then under the bed. We didn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I noticed Jess standing at the window. Her eyes were wide open, but she wasn't blinking. Jess, I said. She didn't answer. Just stood there like she was in a trance. I walked up behind her and gently touched her shoulder. She screamed this guttural, terrified wail and collapsed. She said she saw a figure outside the window, even though we were on the 3rd floor. Said it looked like her, but with no eyes. And it smiled. She wanted to leave, but I reminded her. The storm was still raging, and there were no other hotels for miles. We agreed to stay, keep the lights on, and leave at dawn. That's when the TV turned on by itself. It wasn't static this time. It was a live feed of our room. From the ceiling corner. Watching us. There was no visible camera in the room. I checked every inch. Then something even worse happened. The hallway door slowly creaked open, and something walked in. It wasn't human. It looked like me. Same clothes. Same face. But the eyes, they were bleeding. And its movements were jerky like bad CGI. Jess screamed. I lunged at it, but it vanished. We ran down to the lobby. The old man was still there. He looked up, calm as ever, and said, It picked you, huh? What the hell is in that room? I demanded. He shrugged. That room wants to show you what you fear most. And then it keeps you. Jess was crying. I was shaking. Have others stayed there? I asked. He pointed at the wall behind him. There were dozens of keys hanging up, all labeled 313. Some looked rusted over. Some had blood on them. He leaned in close. Once a guest survives the night, that room needs a new one. You passed its test. I stared at him. What do you mean passed? You walked out, he said. It'll leave you alone. For now. We ran out, storm be damned. As we drove away, I looked back once. All the room windows were dark, except one. Room 313. There was a face in the window. Mine. It was still smiling. I wasn't planning to stop in that town. I wasn't planning anything at all, really. After my brother died, I just got in the car and drove. No direction, no map. Just needed to get away. I was somewhere in rural Missouri when I realized I'd been driving 16 hours straight. My eyes were blurry, and the gas light had been on for too long. That's when I saw the sign. Motel Grayson, low rates, 1 mile ahead. I took the exit. The place sat off an old county road, surrounded by nothing but woods and cornfields. The building was one long strip with maybe 10 doors, all painted the same dull red. There was a dying neon sign above the office and an old, busted soda machine humming in the corner. A woman sat behind the glass window in the front office, smoking. You look like you've seen hell, she said when I walked in. Maybe I have. She slid a ledger across the counter. Name and license plate. I signed, gave her my info. She handed me a brass key with a tag that read room 7. No loud music. No visitors. Don't open your door after midnight. I half laughed. Why? She didn't blink. You'll understand if you stay the night. I should have left right then. Room 7 smelled like bleach and wet carpet. The TV didn't work, the window didn't lock, and there was a weird stain on the ceiling above the bed. I didn't care. I laid down and passed out almost immediately. But something woke me up around 1 a.m. It wasn't a sound exactly. More like a pressure, like the air in the room shifted. I sat up and looked around. The light above the bathroom was flickering. The heater clicked off, and then the sound of footsteps. Inside the room, I froze. They were slow, deliberate, but I didn't see anyone. The shadows in the corner stretched a little too long, and I swear the air got colder with each step. I turned on my phone flashlight. Nothing. I chalked it up to exhaustion. Maybe grief was messing with my head. I locked the door, double-checked the window, went back to sleep. The next morning, I went to return the key. The woman was gone. In her place was a guy who looked about 70, chain-smoking, and coughing like he was dying. "You were in room 7? He asked, squinting at me. "Yeah." He leaned in close. "You hear anything?" "Footsteps. Maybe a draft." His eyes widened slightly. "Then it's still there." "What's still there?" "He just said, don't come back." I got in my car. I should have driven off. But something in me needed to know more. I went back to room 7. Door was locked. But I noticed something weird. There was a hole behind the dresser. Not like damage, like a peephole. I moved the dresser and looked inside. There was a whole other space behind the wall. A hidden room. Dark. No furniture. Just drawings. Hundreds of them. Scribbled in black ink, all stuck to the walls with rusted thumbtacks. Every drawing showed the same thing. A man standing at the foot of the bed. And in each one, the face was clearer. More detailed. I stepped back, heart racing. The air behind me got cold again. Then I heard the doorknob twist. From the inside, I ran out. Later that night, I did a search on the place. Found nothing. No website. No reviews. Like it didn't exist. But then I dug deeper and found an old article from 2003. A man had been murdered in room 7. Strangled to death by a drifter who checked in under a fake name. When the cops found the body, the killer was gone. Only thing left was a wall full of drawings. Sound familiar? It gets worse. I kept hearing the footsteps. Even after I left. Every motel I stayed in, footsteps at night. Cold air. Shadow in the corner. Always at 1 a.m. Last night, I stayed with a friend. Didn't tell him anything. Just needed to feel normal. At 12:55 a.m., I woke up to the sound of his front door opening. 5 minutes later, I heard him scream. He was in the hallway, clawing at his own face, eyes wide, yelling, "He's in your room. He's in your room." But when I looked, it was empty. Just the same silence. The same cold air. And on the wall, by the dresser, a drawing. Fresh ink. A figure at the foot of the bed. And now I know what it means. He never left room 7. He just needed someone to open the door. And I did. I don't even know how to start this. I don't expect anyone to believe me. Hell, I still don't believe it myself. But if you're reading this, just listen to me. Never stay at a motel called Red Pines. Especially if they tell you you've been there before. I drive for a living long haul. I like the freedom. No one breathing down my neck, no one to answer to. A few months ago, I was moving a load from Tennessee to Nevada. I was about 15 hours in when I started feeling dizzy, like I'd been drugged. Eyes burning. Palms sweating. I looked for a place to crash. Somewhere off the main road, quiet. That's when I saw the sign. Red Pines Motel, vacancy, 2 miles ahead. GPS didn't show it. Nothing about it online. But I was desperate. I pulled off the highway. The road to it was strange. Pine trees taller than any I'd ever seen, blocking out the sky. And then, like it appeared from nowhere, there it was. A 2-story, L-shaped building with a faded red roof. Not a single car in the lot. I parked and walked into the office. It smelled like mildew and something metallic, blood maybe. A man stood behind the counter, smiling way too wide. "Welcome back," he said. "I've never been here." "Oh, you have? Room 108, right?" He held up a key. I should have left. Should have followed my gut. But I was too tired to argue. The hallway to room 108 felt wrong. I don't know how else to describe it. Like it was longer than the outside of the building should have allowed. The door was already cracked open. Inside, everything was old, the wallpaper peeling, TV with dials, phone with a rotary. The bed had a red quilt with dark stains, and the lamps didn't turn on. I laid down anyway. Slept hard. When I woke up, I was still in the same clothes, but the calendar on the wall said it was 1994. I laughed at first, thought it was a joke. But then I stepped outside. Everything was different. The air, the cars, the damn sky looked different. Orange tinted. I walked back to the office. The same man was there, but he looked younger. Cleaner. "You okay?" he asked. "What year is it?" He smiled. "Same as it's always been." I grabbed my keys and left. Drove back to the highway. But when I got there was no highway. Just endless woods in both directions. I kept driving until I ran out of gas. Then I walked. And walked. Eventually, I circled back to the Red Pines Motel. Same spot. Same smile. "Welcome back," the man said again, holding out the key. "Room 108. It never changes." That was weeks ago. Maybe months. Time doesn't work here. I've tried burning it. The fire never catches. I've smashed the windows. They rebuild overnight. I've met other guests too. Some are silent. Some scream. Some don't even seem alive anymore. There's one woman, room 110, who whispers to herself every night. They never let you leave unless you bring someone else. That stuck with me. I started wondering, is that what I'm supposed to do? Lure someone in so I can escape? I almost did it last week. Flagged down a car. A teenage couple. They were lost. I gave them the key. Told them it was free. They smiled. Thanked me. I felt horrible, but I felt free. I drove away. Made it to a gas station 40 miles out. But when I tried to buy something, the cashier stared at me like I was insane. "You were just here." Said the same thing. Same clothes. Same dirt on your face. I looked in the mirror. My name tag from Red Pines was pinned to my shirt. I'd become part of it. Now every night, I wake up in room 108. Even if I sleep somewhere else. Even if I fly across the country. I still wake up in that goddamn room. And every time, there's a new key on the nightstand. With your name on it.